Hello and welcome to everybody. We are still waiting a couple of extra minutes for everybody to join in, and we will start in a few minutes. In case you just joined in, welcome. We're just waiting a couple of extra minutes for everybody to join in, and I think we'll start in 1 minute or so. Okay, I think we'll start. Welcome to everybody to our webinar. We will talk today about circular economy and more specifically how to rethink business models in order to unlock the future. Um, Today we will be three people presenting you this webinar. So first of all, me, Martin, I'm a senior project manager on circular economy at Transitions. I've worked for several years in fast-moving consumer goods companies, textile companies, and also NGOs before joining Transition. Then Arthur Loubert will also present you context on circular economy. He is an expert consultant on the topic and has studied circular economy and is currently doing a PhD on the circular economy. And finally, Antoine Montero, consultant in CSR strategy, working and accompanying companies on their corporate social responsibility strategies and implementation at ENH. The presentation will be in two parts. First of all, circular economy, how it's an opportunity to reshape business models. And then we will show you how we more specifically work alongside our clients to rethink business models. And at the end of the session, we will have some times for questions and answers. So feel free to add all of your questions in the chat and we will look at them at the end. So Arthur will start by presenting you the context, how circular economy is an opportunity to reshape business models.
Hi, everyone. So circular economy consists of producing goods and services in a sustainable way, mainly by limiting the consumption of resources and the production of waste. So if we look at the left part, we can see a butterfly diagram from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which illustrates the two main cycles, the technical one on the right and the biological one on the left. And each of this cycle shows how materials can be kept in circulation rather than being disposed of as waste. So first, if we look at the biological cycle, it concerns materials which can be composted or used to produce energy. And it describes the processes that returns, in fact, nutriments to the soil and help regenerate nature. So we have regeneration, composting, anaerobic digestion, farming. And and even what they call cascades, which consist in making use of products and materials which are already in the economy, like using food byproducts to make other materials. So now if we look at the right part of the butterfly, we can notice different types of loops. And in fact, they correspond to different strategies linked to the circular economy. And they are not equivalent. In fact, some need to be prioritized. And the figure on the right with the air strategies fall under hierarchy. So the further down the scale you go, the closer you get to a linear economic model. So you can easily understand that refuse, rethink, or reduce strategies are considered as the best ones because they are narrowing strategies. It means that fewer resources will enter the production loop. Rethink strategies, for instance, are the less radical ones because they do not question the consumption levels. Reduce consumption strategies, such as life extension service, for instance, are quite commonly implemented. But the refuse strategies are less applied because they're questioning the need to consume and consumer, and they support consumer to produce themselves. At the second level, we have the strategies that aim to extend lifespan of a product or and its parts, like reuse, redistribute products and components, repairing, refurbishing products to make them as good as new ones. So these strategies are slowing the loop by keeping the resource in the economy. Then recycle and recover are strategies that must arrive third, as they are the closest to the linear economy. If we talk about recycling, it's the outermost loop, and because indeed when you recycle, you reduce a product to its basic materials and you lose its embedded value. When we talk about circular economy, we deal with a trendy concept because it dated back to the 90s. This concept of circular economy has grown in popularity over the past decade. So if we look at a global scale, Japan was the first country to develop a roadmap, national circular economy vision in 1999. And today in 2024, around 75 different countries had developed their roadmaps, especially in Europe, Latin America, Asia, and Africa. If we look at the volume of discussion, debates, etc., around circular economy, a threefold increase have been noticed. And if we look especially at scientific papers, the number of publication was multiplied by 58 in 10 years. But at the same time, we notice that the overall circularity rate is decreasing. So from 9.1% in 2018 to 7.2% in 2023. So this circularity rate means the proportion of secondary material out of an economy's total material consumption. So this means that we are now consuming more virgin materials than ever, while at the same time, the share of secondary material is in decline. So among the reasons, we can talk about the increased extraction and use of materials, the failure of certain key sectors to deploy the expected solutions, and also maybe the influence of the COVID-19 pandemic and the disruption of supply chains. The circularity rate is not an impact indicator, but a measurement one that mainly focus the 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 vision on the material flow, but not necessarily on the impact on the environment and the economy. So the idea for economies is not to focus only on recycling, as is not one of the best strategies, but focus on rethinking their business model. In fact, a business model is just a way that a company creates or captures value. And circular economy comes with many opportunities for company. So there exist many benefits of rethinking a business model. We can talk about resilience, customer fidelity, new market, being a pioneer, meeting stakeholder expectations, regulatory compliance, enhanced cost management, brand image, and agility. First, about resilience, circular economy offers the possibility for a company to adapt to current challenges like resource depletion and planetary limits. So in this context, it's crucial to take into account indicators such as the overshoot day, which shows our activities exceed the planet's limit. So this day marks the moment when we have consumed all the resources that the Earth can regenerate in 1 year, and the date is not the same all over the world. If we took the example of Qatar, it's February the 10th. For the US and Canada, it's March the 13th, April the 6th for Singapore, May the 5th for France, and countries like Egypt, it's more in November. And some countries are not in what we call ecological deficit. So because of our linear economic model and overconsumption, we have already reached 6 of the 9 planetary limits in 2023: climate change, biodiversity erosion, disruption of cycle of nitrogen and phosphorus, for instance. When the problem is that recent projection predicts a double of demand for material and energy over the next 40 years. So the current economy causes resource depletion. And if no global production system transformation take place, scientists estimate that we will be short of resources in the near future. For instance, freshwater reserves could be depleted in 20 years, seafood in less than 24 years. If we talk about metals and minerals reserves, it's more like 30 to 50 years. Around the same for petrol and other gas reserves, and around 80 years for sand. So it's essential too for companies to comply with current and future regulation, not only to avoid legal sanctions, but also to access to new economic opportunities. So if we look at a few policies, we can talk about the European Union Circular Economy Action Plan with its first edition in 2015. It was like 54 actions. So 54 actions was adopted at this time, and then in 2023, the European Union revised this framework to reinforce its commitment to, and also the measuring part of the work to progress more effectively. So alongside this action plan, there is a regulatory innovation about eco-design, which is called the Digital Product Passport, introduced by the European Commission in 2022. and it's like an electronical digital product sheets that contain a lot of information on the product, like composition, origin of materials, the different end of life treatments that exist for that types of product, and also the environmental performance, like carbon footprint. And the aim of this passport is to provide better data traceability. Then we can also talk about the CSRD, which represents new Europe directives and aim to increase the transparency of information which are disclosed by companies, with a focus on sustainable resource management and also the integration of circular economy principles into the business strategies. So to support this implementation, there are precise reporting standards which has been defined, such as the European Sustainability Reporting Standards, and one of them is called Use of Resources and Circular Economy, with 6 disclosure requirements, which are directly linked to the ESRS. The 3 first about policies, actions, and objectives related to the use of resources and the circular economy. 1 about resource inputs, 1 about resource outputs, and finally 1 about the expected effects of that, and finance, impact, and risks and opportunities related to the circular economy. And finally, another example of the importance of the context and the regulatory compliance is the proposition of a circular value-added tax, which occurred in France in 2023. And it deals with the importance of creating a circular VAT in order to encourage sustainable practice and supporting the transition to a circular economy. So now, if we talk about economic and financial benefits, rethinking our business model to incorporate sustainability can be a winning strategy for companies in both the short and the long term, because by adopting strategies focusing on sustainability, companies can reduce for instance, their long-term operation cost, reducing waste and improving their process efficiency. Several companies have already shown how rethink their business model was a good idea from an economic point of view. For instance, some companies have developed a second life business model. If you take the example of IKEA, the company has introduced take back and resales programs for used furniture in several countries. And the company also offers products made from recycled materials and has developed repair services to extend, in fact, the life of its furniture. Renault has also developed the same strategies with specialized plans for recycling and reusing end-of-life vehicle parts. And it enables Renault to reduce the cost and the ecological footprint of operations. Decathlon developed also these types of new markets, and as a result, they report a growth in their financial activity. For Decathlon, the second-hand offer is more and more popular with their customers, and it corresponds to around 2,100 products rentals in 2022, which is approximately the double if we compare with the amount of the previous year. Decathlon is, thanks to this new business model, positioning itself in several different segments, like rental and repair. And they enter in a global shift towards sustainability because like 44 countries now offer these second-hand products. And the entire circular economy accounts for 1.75% of all Decathlon sales. So for them, the functional economy, repair, sale of recognition products was a good idea. By offering services such as product repair, reuse, and resale, company can create additional touch point with their customers and increase their engagement and satisfaction. We can also take the example of Philips, which relies on functional economy in lighting products. And by 2025, they are committed to generate 24% of sales from circular products. And it can benefit Philips as a business, first by increasing the competitive advantage and long-term value creation as more and more customers consider the environment, stronger customer relations, and enhanced loyalty with clients, and finally, cost savings to the company through reduce of material which is used. And in 2022, around 20% of Philips' business revenue came from circular products. In a rapidly changing world, it's essential for companies to rethink their business model, not just to survive, but to prosper also. And first, improving brand image is crucial because stakeholders' expectation are moving, and the environmental and social aspects are more and more important. So by adopting sustainable and responsible practice, companies can meet these demands, and by positioning themselves as leaders in sustainability, company can strengthen their reputation, build customer loyalty, and also attract new market segments, as we've seen. And it's also a way to inspire and become pioneer in a sector. Innovation and agility are essential, in fact, to adapt to rapid market change and also new regulation. So we can talk about Patagonia, which is an inspiring example of a company which succeed in rethinking its business model. In fact, the brand launched the One Wear program, enabling customers to resell their used clothing and buy repair second-hand clothes. And this had enabled the company to penetrate a second-hand clothing market by using as a main strategy slowing the resource loop. And in order to do that, they use several sufficiency strategies like awareness raising, design, green alternative, life extension service, and support for repair, and also long warranty. So this company is seen as a pioneer. It was the first to be the first Californian one to be certified B Corp, which is a label which recognizes a company's commitment to using business activities as a driver of positive change for the society. Patagonia was chosen as Champion of the Earth in 2019 for its entrepreneurial vision. And also the founder of Patagonia also co-founded 1% for the Planet, which is a non-profit organization with a concept. So the concept is based on a voluntary commitment by companies to just donate at least 1% of their annual sales to non-profit environmental organization.
So now that we've seen how circular economy can be an opportunity for business models, we will show you how we work alongside our clients to rethink business models. And first, we will tell you about who we are exactly. So we belong to EcoCert. EcoCert is a French company, a French group, best known for its auditing activities, in particular around organic farming. It's now present all over the world, and the group wanted to increase its impact through consulting and training through the acquisition of two entities. The first one is Transition. It's a consultancy firm specialized in sustainability strategy and engineering. We have 15 years of experience working at local, national, and international level with various actors from the private sector, the public sector, civil society, such as NGOs, researchers, experts. And we promote a transition towards more sustainable business models. The second entity is ENH. ENH has been supporting companies for 20 years in the construction and implementation of their corporate social responsibility strategies, seeking to raise awareness, train the different teams, and support transitions towards sustainable models. Together, we bring complementary skills and approaches that maximize impact. First of all, through our network and our goal to create dialogue with civil society, we organize and facilitate constructive exchanges, workshops, in order to have sustainable solutions emerge from collective intelligence. And for that, we use our network. You can see an example of different NGOs, coalitions that are in our network. And we have specifically partners that work only on circular economy, such as Circulab, the National Institute for Circular Economy in France, or more globally, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So our network of experts and NGOs help us identify key issues and appropriate solution in order to anticipate grievances and adjust corporate strategies. We also work on knowledge transfer, thanks to our expertise in training and awareness raising and workshop animation. We are trained to capacitate teams on sustainability issues. And finally, we work on operationalization in order to have concrete and operational support to deploy circular action plans. And for this, we have very varied and specific skills and very diverse and complementary teams. So this is an example of the different teams that work on circular economy. Some have very specific skills on sustainable sourcing, some on specific areas of expertise, such as agriculture, food, or territories. And all of us create a very complementary team to answer specific circular economy challenges. So we are convinced that circular economy transition needs to be collective, it needs to be ambitious, and needs to be monitored to make sure that it's effective in reducing its impact on planetary limits. And we are therefore supporting private and public players in their circularity-related challenges for several years now. And we have been mobilized on all of the pillars of circular economy, which you can see now. Pillars that will affect offer, such as sustainable sourcing, eco-design, functional economy, industrial and territorial ecology. I will come back on all of those concepts later on. We also work on the demand, on extending products' lifespan, for instance, and finally on waste management. The first example I'll tell you about is around industrial and territorial ecology. If you don't know what this is, it's based on the quantification, the optimization, and the sharing of resource flows at a local level, at the scale of a specific territory, and in particular concerning the flows of material, energy, and water. The best known example is the town of Kalundborg in Denmark. For several decades now, they have implemented a network of exchange of energy, water, and material in order to reduce their impact on the environment and reduce their overall consumption as a territory. So one of the example of Kalundborg is the one of the industries there was a productor of plaster, and one of the main material for plaster is gypsum. This producer used to import the gypsum from Spain until he realized that the energy facility close by was creating gypsum as a co-product of coal energy. So when you burn coal, it creates fumes. They wanted to desulfur the fumes and through this process created gypsum, and it used to be waste for them, and now it's a resource for the plaster company right next door. So on this topic, we've worked with a region in the north of France and carried a study in order to match the incoming and outgoing flows of each actors that was willing to participate in the industrial and territorial ecology project. And then we set up a collaborative strategy and regular meetings between all of the actors in order to push and to foster sharing of resources. The next pillar that we worked on is sustainable sourcing. Sustainable sourcing is one of our specialties at Transition. We have an extensive expertise and proven methodologies in the field of value chains and responsible sourcing in order to trace, analyze, and map complex value chains. We also design strategies and roadmaps to support purchasing departments in their sustainable sourcing strategies. We have a wide area of expertise on the conversion of ecosystems, on deforestation, on regenerative agriculture, circular economy, of course, circular ingredients, but also the respect of local communities, human rights, amongst others. This has led us to work for very different sectors, such as energy, automotive industry, textile, agriculture, cosmetics, or fast consumer goods company. One of the many examples that I chose to share with you today is supporting L'Oréal in implementing its circular strategy in the formulation of cosmetics. The goal was to know how much of what percentage of L'Oréal's ingredients could be claimed as circular, and how they could increase that percentage of circular ingredients. So we worked with them on a definition, on a framework, and worked with them on operationalizing this framework so that it fits exactly the ingredients that they used in their products. Then we also worked on eco-design with a French manufacturer, BIC. So BIC, we worked with them for many years on their lighter category. We helped them to build their circular strategy, to raise the skills of their teams, and to deploy circular projects. One of them is this lighter, eco-designed lighter. So to work on this project, we studied the design of the current BIC lighters, the life cycle analysis of their products, and we consulted with NGOs and specialists in order to deliver concrete and applicable recommendations to reduce the use of raw materials and increase the proportion of recycled, reused raw materials and increase the product recyclability. We also worked with BIC on extending the life cycle of their products. So for that, we set up new collection channels for used lighters in Spain, Italy, Brazil, and Canada, which means that we found local partners that could help us to deploy the projects. Local NGOs also to understand the specific issues of each countries. And then we followed the project implementation. And once the used lighters were collected, they were sent back to big plants where they were pulled apart. And a machine could then say which part of the lighters were fit to be reused and remanufactured, and which parts of the lighter needed to be discarded and recycled. And this allowed for a minimum consumption of resources. And finally, we also worked on waste management. So this project specifically was for a confidential private actor who wanted to reduce his dependency on raw materials, on virgin raw materials. So he was looking for resources of secondary raw materials. And for that, he wanted to study difficult to recycle products that didn't benefit from recycling from an extended producer responsibility channel, so from an existing recycling channel. So we studied how these difficult products could be pulled apart and recycled. We then made recommendations on the most interesting material and products that needed to be studied according to the quantity of raw material that was usable, the complexity of the process to recycle, and the feasibility. So all of these missions enabled us to gain a very concrete understanding of the issues and stakes of different sectors, different actors. But in order to start this transformation and to change business models, the very first step is to have the right diagnostic and the right action plan. And for that, I will let Antoine present our flash circular diagnostic.
Thank you, Martin. As Martin said, this is why we started a new collective intelligence workflow, flash diagnostic. For half a day, many decision makers of your company from different business units, such as finance, marketing, strategy, supply chain, or production, will gather around to understand your value chain and highlight all the circular economy loops and opportunities. In order to get this workshop as efficient as possible, we will understand and share our vision and our comprehension of your value chain before the meeting. This will help all the group to focus only on circular loops and understand where and what could be these opportunities. This workshop is divided in two main parts. For the first 40 minutes, we share the basis of circular loops, inspiring initiatives from benchmark and our understanding of your value chain. The main objective of this is from introduction is to square and generate ideas during the collective intelligence stage. For the collective intelligence parts, for the second one, your team is divided into 3 groups during an hour. Each has to handle a specific circular loop. For instance, Rethink and reduce for the first one, reuse, repair, refurbish for another. The goal of every group is to identify every opportunity and resilient assets, but also the strengths and weaknesses of your company to get these ideas real and not just a concept or something in a drawer. During the final 40 minutes, every group shared their ideas for every loop, every type of loop. And an action plan is discussed collectively to get these ideas real and done. We have already done this workshop with many companies, and we would like to share with you a very specific example. This company is a second digital marketplace. Its main goal is, in fact, perfectly inside loop of circular economy, especially reusing. And we could think collectively that it is enough. Nevertheless, with this workshop, we took their business model a step further. This value chain of this company, they have three main products category: consumer goods, cars, and real estate. Thanks to the platform, every product extends their life, and finally, this helps to reduce the production of new raw products. Data center with computers, components, and energies get the platform up and running. Classical website type. Finally, the website values the number of users to sell advertising spaces. We all well know this type of business models. What could the company do to make this business model more circular? But above all, our circular economy could provide business opportunities and also improve its global resilience. If we focus on the sharing loop, which is the first one, there is a big market for this platform to address. They are specialized in getting people interconnected in order to exchange goods. It is very, very good. But why not exchanging services? And by this, improving the using intensity of every product, and in consequence, reduce the need of new products. This ability to secure transaction is also main asset to promote repairing services that we all know that it's very difficult to get done. The digital marketplace could be adapted to sell services rather than only products. But so we could demonstrate that circular economy could provide opportunity, as those two examples demonstrate. But circular economy could also avoid risk, and it is one of the main assets of this concept, and transform them into opportunities. If we focus on cars, the electrification that is currently going of the global vehicle fleet, which is a good solution to address climate change, is a big challenge for a second-hand marketplace. After 10 years, the battery of an electric car hasn't enough autonomy to continue its life as a car battery. In consequence, the marketplace, if it doesn't change its business model, will lose an increasing part of the market because the electrification is going very fast. Yet, thanks to remanufacturing loop, the marketplace could position itself as an intermediary for a new life of these old batteries. Old vehicle batteries could be useful for other applications like storage, solar panel, or wind turbine energy, for instance. By this workshop, in half a day, this company takes away tangible solutions that are prioritized and affected to different members of the team. We hope this experience feedback will light up your desire to test this workshop with us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So we have a couple of questions. So the first question is from, if you have any questions during the next 10 to 15 minutes, please feel free to use the chat. We have first few questions that we will answer now, and we can answer any further question. So the first question is by Chris Gale. Technology is a difficult area for reuse and remanufacture due to software and operating system updates that are increasingly frequent.
Yeah, this is one of the main challenge for this type of business. In this example, consumer goods were mainly about consumer goods, not electric consumer goods. We see that refurbish is mainly the main asset for this type of products, and that is currently going on inside France, for instance, with a company such as I forgot the name, some big companies that are doing well inside this type, but it is very difficult, yeah, to prolong and maintain those type of products because of as you can say all the new way of producing logical.
But it's also the responsibility of the producer of those technological products and those softwares to try and make sure that the product does not have a planned obsolescence and to try as much as possible to make those updates not a bad thing for the product use on the long run. So it's very important topic, and it's part of eco-design also and eco-conception of those technological products.
And many regulation, like in EU, try to stop this type of planned.
Yes, and there are also strategies that exist to deal with that problem, like design modular software, like with components that can be updated independently without requiring a complete overhaul of the system. And also we should talk about the designers. They can ensure new software version which are compatible with older ones to extend the lifespan of devices.
Yeah, Fairphone started a little bit on this topic.
The second question is what innovative strategies can companies implement to promote sustainability through circular business models?
Yes, so there are many strategies, innovative ones, to implement this through circular business model. There are strategies which deals with the product design for longevity, for being reusable. But there's also strategies like sharing and service-based models. For instance, innovative strategies can concern a product as a service strategy. We can talk also about sharing platforms. There's also the idea of collaboration, so collaborative consumption. We can encourage group purchases, for instance, to reduce packaging waste, for instance, or even technological innovation, as we talked for the previous question. For instance, to use digital platforms to track products through their life cycle. in order, for instance, to facilitate the recycling and the resource recovery.
Then we had a question concerning the sustainable sourcing and the follow-up on the results of the project. So the project that we discussed was launched in 2021, and since then it has been implemented by L'Oréal, and we will check if it's possible to communicate more, but at this point, this is the information that I know we can talk about. And finally, we have a last question. Does the team help to quantify the emissions saved? We do have partners that are specialized in life cycle analysis and that can give us metrics on the carbon emissions that are effective or that are saved. So this is an information that we can have. However, we also try to encourage our clients to look at other metrics than the carbon emissions because material extraction have a lot of impact that are also very important, such as deforestation or local communities displacement, forced labor. So indeed, carbon is an important tool, but we also encourage to look at all of the information, and we know that all of these issues are very complex and have several indicators, quantitative and qualitative indicators on their impact on the environment and society.
Yes, and throughout, for instance, avoided emissions is very difficult to assume because it's very different between some types of hypotheses you get. So we also want to go to mainly on qualitative information because sometimes it's a little bit better to just focus on what could be better instead of getting a number which is hypothetically possible but not very specific or accurate and could lead to fake conclusion or not very specific or strong conclusion.
And finally, what other metrics do businesses usually look at when transforming their business into more circular ones? As we discussed, most of the circular related metrics that are looked at today are the rates of recycled raw materials or the rate of recyclable raw materials, which is an interesting indicator, but it focuses on recycling. And it's important to look further and look at rethinking business models. So you can also look at the quantity of raw material used. You can also look at the quantity of sustainably sourced raw materials. You can look at how many, the weight of eco-design products in your portfolio, or you can look at the product lifespan. How long does your product last? How much it's used before its end of life? So those are other interesting metrics that can be.
Yes, and also these types of metrics are like measurement ones, and most of the time we also focus on impact indicators, environmental ones, but it's important also because circular economy is a global concept, and we have to look at the economic one, but also the social dimension, and there is many indicator in that field which are very interesting to look at
when we talk about transforming our business model.
And just to add, in CSRD, the indicators are input materials and outputs, and the share of recycled ones. So it's just the basic ones, but you will have as a company to produce at least those types of data.
And our last question, and then we will say goodbye, is how can we convince companies that it's beneficial for them to change their business models?
With this example, we focused on how circular economy could provide resilient or business opportunities. So those three actions that we share with you will benefit for the revenue stream of the company. So we will like to focus on this type of opportunities. And it is easier to get this done when there is a revenue flow that will come up. So it is our main asset is to focus on, okay, you can produce a revenue stream with those type of actions, but also with the resilient second part with the car example. It's also a way to avoid risk. It is less easy to get this done, because you can think that the risk will not appear, and so you don't have to act. But for strategic manager, planner, or person, it's an asset that they are focusing and very attracted to.
Thank you very much to everyone for connecting. Thank you for your questions and your attendance. You have all of this information, and you have access to more webinars tomorrow and the day after tomorrow if you want. Thank you everyone, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.